Hello everyone, please listen to episode 7. One day, in a very big and beautiful room of imperial building, Qimei was wearing a maid's dress to embroider clothes for the emperor's daughter. She was feeling very happy because she could often meet Tian Yi. At about lunchtime, Tian Yi entered the room and said to her, "Good news! The emperor is going out for a picnic tomorrow. He loves you to go with us. Please get well prepared." Qimei was so happy upon hearing this. On the way of the tour, the emperor was riding on his horse and Tian Yi was riding on his horse next to him. One sedan chair for the queen and a sedan chair of the emperor's daughters, Yin Xing, followed. A few more sedan chairs for the concubines were also followed. Qimei was sitting in the last one, and she constantly opened the curtain to look at scenery outside. She was very excited for Tian Yi once in a while to come close to her sedan chair, and she would open the curtain to look at him when hearing the sound of horse hoofs. Since Qimei came to the imperial palace, Tian Yi's behavior caused suspicion of all servants. One maid secretly to report to Yin Xing, and she immediately sent another maid to supervise him. This time, when Yin Xing got the news, she suddenly ordered to stop, and the whole team stopped procession. Yin Xing came out her sedan chair, all the way walking toward Qimei's sedan chair in the back. Qimei hurriedly came up and kneeled down, saying, "I didn't know the princess was here. What can I do for you?" Tian Yi was riding his horse, watching far away. Yin Xing was so angry and said, "Just wait and see what I do with you." The following day, in Yin Xing's meeting hall, she asked her servants, "How about the arrangements I asked you to make?" "Everything has been arranged according to your request." "We will do it later tonight," replied one of the servants. Thus, Qimei was secretly sent to a temple in a remote mountain 3 days later. In the temple, the nuns were whispering to each other and talking about the things that happened the night before. One of the nuns said, "Did you see her? She looked like she was from the royal palace." "Oh yes, she's very pretty, and I guess she must break the rules of the court." While they were talking, the nun president came, so everyone immediately dispersed. Tian Yi was put under house arrest for the sin of collusion with the maid, and the 2 royal guards were outside the door to watch him. Qimei was sitting in meditation in the temple. In the beginning, she could not calm down. While she looked outside, for a while she recalled Tian Yi. She tried to forget all things that had happened in human society. And 3 years later, she became very tranquil inside. One day, the old emperor died, and the royal court asked monks and nuns to chant Buddhist scripture for him. Qimei was one of them, following all the other nuns to the palace. When entering the palace, she knew that she should not attach to human things anymore, so she walked with the team without looking around. 6 months later, Tian Yi was set free. He learned that Qimei had been sent away. From his experience, she must be sent to the temple, so he secretly sent the royal guards to look for her. A group of people kept searching everywhere for 12 months, but in vain. He believed Qimei must have been killed, so he could not do anything and just followed his fate, hardly maintaining his life in a low spirit. But he strongly suspected that Qimei was killed by Yin Xing. Thus, he started to alienate her. In the imperial court hall, all the ministers were there. The emperor's son was only 5 years old. So Tian Yi had been weighed very high and important in the emperor's heart. Suddenly, the court hall was very quiet, and a eunuch was reading the emperor's testament loudly. The whale said, "After I'm gone, the prince is too young, and our dynasty cannot continue without an emperor even for a day. Tian Yi will be the prime minister to help the prince develop all the policies of the country and to manage the country." Tian Yi was shocked, and he never expected that he would become a prime minister. In the afternoon, in another hall, all the monks and nuns were chanting the scripture for the old emperor. Suddenly, a eunuch called out loudly, "The new emperor is coming!" After this loud sound, there was still the chanting sound left in the hall. The imperial chariot stopped, and a 5-year-old emperor was taken out. The child emperor walked in front and was followed by Tian Yi. Many ministers and concubines followed behind. Qimei was curious, and she very much wanted to see what the new emperor looked like. She secretly gave a glance at it. She didn't see the face of the little emperor, but immediately saw Tian Yi, who was right behind the little emperor. Qimei could not stand still and fell to the ground and lost consciousness. The next day, in the imperial court, the eunuch announced, "Bring the nun up." Qimei was brought to court. She immediately kneeled down and said, "Sooner Qimei is here, kowtowing your majesty." Tian Yi, sitting next to the emperor, heard the name of Qimei. He stood up right away, but immediately he sat down. He knew that he was at the imperial court, and he got to learn how to behave for his high position of prime minister. But all his feelings and behavior were caught by Xingba, who was the minister of military affairs. He was trying to look for holes in Tian Yi and wanted to get rid of him and take the replacement for the position. Then what will happen to Tian Yi? Please continue with episode 8, the last episode.